Is this the beginning of the Bitcoin capitulation? Is this the very beginning of the end of Bitcoin? What's up, ladies and gentlemen? I go by the name of Muna, aka Beyond 10x, and in today's episode, we are going to continue talking about the potential next price action of BTC. So first of all, congratulations to everybody that watched yesterday's video, and our trades obviously went our way. But the most important thing that I really want to remind you guys is please don't get too overconfident when it comes to trading BTC. Like, for example, when you have like a very good trade which is going in your favor, right? Always have it in the back of your mind that the next trade can be a very bad one. So please stay humble regardless whether you get it right or wrong. Always stay focused. Okay, so the current price of Bitcoin right now is about 11,372 US dollars, and obviously we experienced this dramatic drop, and right now we are forming somewhat of a bearish flag. So this is obviously going to be a continuation pattern. However, the market makers might be able to surprise us because these guys are always manipulating the prices. So I wouldn't be very surprised if the price had to shoot up dramatically, but that is sort of not very likely because I mean, guys, we've been having consistent lower highs. So at this particular moment, right, I'm sure in the next coming 3 weeks, right, a lot of people are going to become very bearish because it's blatantly becoming very clear that we are beginning to have a downtrend. So as far as the Bitcoin capitulation question is concerned, nope, I don't really think Bitcoin is about to have like a capitulation phase, because I really believe that in order for Bitcoin to be in its capitulation phase, right, it obviously has to go down all the way to this level, right, which is around 3,200 level. If Bitcoin had to drop all the way down, this is obviously not going to happen in the next coming months. This might take I don't know, like more than 6 months to happen. If Bitcoin had to drop down all the way below this price level right over here, then if we had to go way below this support that we had, right, then that would be a proper capitulation. So what we're about to start having in the next coming few weeks is obviously just going to be a downtrend, because we've been talking about the fact that before having like a solid bull run, right, the price of Bitcoin has to test the 21 or the 20 weekly exponential moving averages. And right now, if you look at what has been happening, right, you guys have been hearing me talk about this for the past few months, and you guys should already be understanding this song by now. We definitely have to go back and find support on the orange line, which is the 20 weekly exponential moving average or the 21 exponential moving average. In history, if you look at the history of Bitcoin, right, no bull market has ever happened without this area being tested, without the 21 exponential moving average being tested. All I want you guys to do right now is take a little bit of time, just check out what has been happening to the price of BTC in the previous bull runs. You guys are going to discover that however high the price of Bitcoin goes, right, it usually comes back to the 21 exponential moving average. So anybody who's talking about Bitcoin going to about 18,000, 20,000 US dollars, they must be forgetting about Bitcoin's history, because remember, the price is obviously determined by a whole lot of factors. There's a whole lot of people who are very smart, who have been studying the history of BTC, and by the way, a lot of smart traders, a lot of institutional money has already sold BTC around 14,000 or above 13,500. A lot of institutional money has already gotten out of BTC. So the amount of this price action that we're seeing, right, this is obviously retail traders plus a few algorithms trading back and forth, but you guys just have to be very patient, because this downturn is just beginning. This is only the beginning, okay? So this is going to take a while. It might take a month, it might take about 3 months in order for people to become very bearish. So please be very careful. So anyway, let's talk about what has been happening. So obviously we're going to consider the Fibonacci levels, because the Fibonacci levels are equally important as well. So if we had to let's check out the 1 hourly, right? So if we had to move all the way from that particular high all the way to this low right over here, right, you guys are going to discover that BTC, once it came down to this support right over here, right, it obviously shot up and we faced quite a lot of resistance at the 61 point at the 78.6% fib level right over here. So let me just adjust that. Let's go to the 4 hourly and see what has been happening. So as you guys can clearly see, right, in the recent past, right, we obviously came down below the 61.8% fib level. This is where we actually had this dramatic drop right over here, and we are obviously going to continue our bearish flag, and we are most likely going to either find support on the 100 exponential moving average or the 200 exponential moving average. So that is definitely what I am expecting to happen. So anyway, let's look at some more Fibonacci levels, because I just want to make a little bit of sense out of this whole thing. So if we had to do this, just a moment. Yeah, let's get that over there. Yeah, this is what I wanted to talk about. So basically, as you guys can see, right, we obviously had quite a lot of resistance right over here on the 61.8% fib level, which is slightly or equal to about 12,000 US dollars, this level right over here. And this is a very classic golden ratio type of level where we had this rejection right over there, then we found support, double support right over here, and then we went up to the 61.8% fib level, and most likely we are about to go down. And if we're going to be able to find a little bit of support, right, 10,876 is obviously a very good bounce back area, and then we're going to bounce back and obviously go to the 0.5% fib level, which is going to be about 11,500 US dollars, and then we are definitely going to continue our downtrend. So we might find a little bit of support right around the 100 daily exponential moving average, which is the green line, and then we're going to proceed further on to the 200 exponential moving average, which is corresponding all the way down to about 8,400 US dollar level right over there. So this is a very classic traders play, because we had a situation where the price of Bitcoin obviously went down, found a little bit of support, right, especially around the 100 exponential moving average, then shot up to the 38.2% fib level, then came down and then established a double bottom, then went as high as the 61.8% fib level, and then this is where we got rejected, and then our downward momentum is obviously going to continue. However, this downward trend is obviously going to be very, very difficult, because we might have situations where the market makers are going to be manipulating the prices. So having a very volatile environment is something that you guys shouldn't even be worried about, because we already know the market makers games, and this is something that we are definitely expecting. But the most important thing that I really want you guys to remember is, before any bull run has to be established, the price of Bitcoin has to go and find support next to the 21 exponential moving average. This has been the Bitcoin rule ever since way back 5 years ago. This was very applicable. 7 years ago, this was very factual, and obviously this is going to happen as well. So we are not going to go higher than this previous all-time high around 13,832 before establishing a very good support basis on the 20 or 21 weekly exponential moving average. That is a fact. It might take, I don't know, next month, it might take a while, but it's definitely going to happen. But guys, remember that the 21 weekly exponential moving average is going to be adjusting. It's going to be going up if the price of Bitcoin is also going to continue going up. So remember what we talked about yesterday, right? So before you guys place any trade, right, you always have to consider what the market makers are about to do, because this game, this cryptocurrency market, is obviously run by market makers. So before you do any trade, just think about what the market makers would do. What would a market do in this particular market? I mean, everybody yesterday, like a whole lot of people, like 75% of cryptocurrency YouTubers, were talking about the price of Bitcoin going to 14,000, the price of Bitcoin going to about 16,000 US dollars. But yesterday we did talk about the BitMEX funding and premium index, which was showing us that there was obviously a very good high potential of the price of Bitcoin going down because everybody was going long. And these guys are in the businesses, they are in a business of making money, and they only get to make money when they actually do the opposite of whatever retail traders are doing. So that's something that you guys obviously have to remember. So obviously what's going to happen in the next coming few hours is obviously we are going to form a bearish flag, and then we are obviously going to find a little bit of support, obviously right around the 38.2% fib level, and then we might potentially bounce back, and then this is also going to continue acting as resistance. So 11,500 US dollar level is going to start acting as resistance once we continue going down. However, this might be a very different scenario if the price of Bitcoin all of a sudden just drastically goes up high because the market makers are trying to manipulate everything. What if this whole breakdown to the downside was a fake out to the downside? You know, so those are the few factors that you guys are supposed to be thinking about before being very confident with your trades, because anytime this whole price of Bitcoin might just, I don't know, it might just retrace to about 12,000 US dollars. And what are you guys going to do? So please do not get way too excited. Do not be way too overconfident. Just wait for Mr. Market to do its thing, and then you're just going to be adjusting your trades as far as you know, you get more evidence. The more evidence you get, the better your decisions are going to get, and you know, the better you're going to be able to plan. So right now obviously our trades went in our favor, and what we anticipated has obviously happened. So the most important thing that I'm waiting for is I'm waiting for this bearish you know, flag obviously to continue to the downside, and then hopefully have a little bit of a bounce back, and then find resistance right over here, and then continue its downtrend towards you know, the previous double bottom right over here. So let me just go back to the daily, right? So if you look at the daily, and if we look at the double bottom, right, if we consider what really happened during these you know, periods of time, right, we obviously had like massive weeks to the downside, and people didn't even you know, properly react to this price action. So I really believe that these price actions right over here were mostly done by algorithm trades. These were just like you know, robots buying up the prices of BTC because they've been programmed to like react in a certain way, because I believe a whole lot of retail investors didn't even have time to react to the price of BTC. So what's most likely going to happen in the next coming few weeks, right? This is not going to happen tomorrow. It's not going to happen, I don't know, the day after tomorrow. It might take a little bit of time, but the most important thing that's really going to happen is eventually we are going to come back down right over here at the, you know, the recent support, and we are obviously going to crack this level. Once we crack this double bottom, right, all hell is going to break loose. Everybody's going to be panicking because a whole lot of people here, a whole lot of retail investors right over here didn't even react on time. So these are pretty much you know, the robots doing their own thing. So whenever these robots get to realize that the double bottom has been broken, right, they are going to be selling, and you guys are not even going to be able to like manage to get out of your position. So once this double bottom is going to be cracked, it's really going to cause a whole lot of chaos. And I really guarantee you, when it comes to cryptocurrency related news, right, you're obviously going to be hearing a whole lot of bad news. I don't know, India bans whatever, American government is trying to shut down Bitcoin, Binance is being hacked, a lot of Bitcoin is going to be sold, and there's going to be like a whole lot of bad news. But it doesn't really matter because we are ahead of the game. Okay, so we really expect the price of Bitcoin to eventually crack this double bottom right over here, and it's bound to happen. The price of Bitcoin might have a little bit of a bounce. Maybe it might even go back to about 12,500 US dollar level, but eventually it's going to come back down to the 21 weekly exponential moving average. It's just a matter of time. So the more patient you are, the better your trades are going to be. So please do not get too worried, because we already know what the game plan is going to be. So anyway, the other thing that I really wanted to talk about is because I've already talked about this. I want you guys to go back to my previous video that I released on August 6th, right? I released this video on August 6th, 2019. It's called Bitcoin Trading Cheat Sheet. So basically, I gave you a game plan, because what we are experiencing right over here, right? This is like pretty much the same basic thing that happened in 2017, like word, or rather price action for price action. I already made a video about this, and I'm not really going to talk about it again because I don't really want to sound like a broken record. So please, if you've got the chance, watch this video. I'm going to have it right over here. Just click the card which is going to pop up right over here, and then you guys are obviously going to find out exactly what has been happening and why I was expecting the price to get rejected right over here on the 61.8% fib level. So yeah, I think that's about it for today. Yeah, so I don't know, is there anything else that I wanted to talk about? Oh yeah, let's go to the 1 hourly. So if we take a look at the 1 hourly, right, we've got a very interesting development. We have even though it's not really that significant, because this is a very short time frame, right? And short time frames are pretty irrelevant, if you know what I mean. Yeah, they don't really hold like a whole lot of substance. So if we take a look at the 1 hour chart, right, we have this right over here where the 20 exponential moving average is crossing below the 50 exponential moving average, which is a very short-term bearish scenario. This is what we call a mini death cross, like an inverse of a golden cross, but this one is like a mini one, because we're only having the 20 exponential moving average crossing below the 50 exponential moving average. So if it had to be like an actual death cross, right, it had to be the 50 exponential moving average crossing below the 200 exponential moving average. So what really happens is, this is just like a warning of what's about to happen. So usually what happens, like on a smaller time frame, right, it usually gets reflected on the larger time frame a little bit later. So this is one of the reasons why it's always very important to always take a look at what's happening like on a smaller time frame and with cross reference towards the higher time frame, because if you have these warning signs, these early warning signs, right, you're going to be able to like react faster, because the people who are only looking at the weekly and the monthly, right, these are the guys who are going to take a little bit of a longer time to react to what Bitcoin is going to be happening, because the current price action is not being reflected in the daily, in the weekly, and in the monthly charts right over here. So it's always very important to always look at the hourly, the shorter time frames, just in order for you to like be able to like grab these warning signs as early as possible. So anyway, it doesn't really matter, because the hourly is just so little of a time. It might be relevant like in the next few days. So so this is one of the reasons why it's not very reliable at times, especially if you are going to be trading like in a longer time frame. So yeah, but I just wanted to like point this out, because this is beginning to happen. And in the 4 hourly, right, we still have a few hours, we still have a few days, because we are most likely going to have a situation where the 20 weekly is going to cross below the 50 weekly. The 20 weekly is the orange line, the 50 is the red line. So in the next coming days, right, when this happens, well, that's going to hold a little bit more significance as opposed to the 1 hourly exponential moving averages. So as soon as this happens, right, if we're going to be able to have a mini death cross on the 4 hourly, right, that's obviously going to hold a little bit more significance, a little bit more substance as opposed to the 1 hourly. So I just wanted to like briefly talk about that. So the most important phrases that I want you guys to remember is, before you do any trade, think about the market makers. Okay, before you decide to trade, to place any trade, always sit back and always get to ask yourself this question: what would a market maker do in this particular trading scenario? The other phrase that I want you to remember is, when you are in doubt, stay out. Okay, so yeah, please remember those two phrases because they are going to be very, very detrimental to your, trading success in the long term. And please don't get too cocky, don't get too overexcited whenever your trade goes your way, because your gains might get erased in the next trade because you are being way too confident. So always stay humble and remember that it's all about probability, and sometimes we do get lucky. So yeah, there's nothing special about my technical analysis. I usually get things wrong. I usually miss a whole lot of signals, and sometimes I have a little bit of a bias. So yeah, I still have a lot of things to learn, and I'm still learning. So we're going to be learning together, and whatever little knowledge that I have, I'm obviously going to be sharing with you. So anyhow, this is all I had to talk to you guys about. So remember, we are beginning a very good solid downtrend, because right now we have established very good lower highs. If you look at the 1 hourly, right, we can obviously confirm that we've had lower highs. We've got 1, we've got 2, and we've got 3. So those are 3 lower highs. As far as the lows are concerned, right, the lower lows, we only had this one and this one. So what's really going to happen is next week is going to be a very important week, because I really want to see what the price is going to do, especially when we approach this low right over here. Are we going to end up cracking this support base right over here? Are we going to end up establishing another lower low? So if that happens, then definitely the downtrend is going to be solidified, and it's going to be blatantly clear for everybody, and everybody is going to become very, very bearish. So yeah, that's all I had to say. So have a great day trading and enjoy your day. Subscribe, hit the like button, and talk to you guys a little bit later. Bye.